Hello, students of English 102. I have made you this rather quick video PowerPoint presentation to talk to you about the annotated bibliography requirement. There seems to be some confusion among the students about what my expectations are, and I want to clarify them. Your annotated bibliography is due in class the next time I see you. It's a page with your 4 sources that you're going to be quoting and citing in your paper, including the Abdurraqib book, which is one of your 4 sources, plus a couple of sentences under each of the sources, just 2 sentences. So it's not a long assignment, but it's an absolute requirement, and it is an important assignment. And I'm going to talk to you about my expectations. Briefly, I'll just tell you that a bibliography, as I think you have probably learned in English 101 or elsewhere, is a list of the sources that you actually cite in your paper. Not just that you read that might be generally on the topic of your paper, but what you are actually quoting and citing. And I give you a picture here of one works cited page. That's what I am looking for from you when I ask you, when you turn in your final draft of your paper, to have as your last page. But that's not what I'm asking you for tomorrow. What I'm asking you for is slightly different. An annotated bibliography is one that includes notes. That's what annotated means. It has notes, usually with information of interest to your professor. It's basically a conversation between you and your professor about what matters about the sources that you are looking at for the purposes of the project that you have those sources included in. I'll give you my examples of what matters to me in this. I think that's the most important thing for you to understand what I'm looking for. Again, 4 sources cited and then 2 sentences underneath each source. So that's not a ton of writing. You wrote a lot more for the essay exam just a bit ago, but this is what I need from you. Here is what interests me about your bibliography. I want to know for each of the sources that you write about, I want a single sentence that tells me first, what kind of source is this? Is this an academic peer-reviewed journal article? Is it a video? Is it a newspaper article? I care very much that you know what you're looking at. One thing I want to remind you is that not everything that sits on a website is considered a website. What is it that you are looking at? If you have trouble with this, use the Ask a Librarian function. They can help you identify the kind of source you're looking at. And that would be very important for you to know for this assignment. The next thing I need to know is, what is the source generally about? What's the central topic of the source? I'm not looking for like, I don't know. The movie Bonnie and Clyde is about gangsters, but more it's about 2 people who existed in real life and who went around the Midwest during the Depression era and committed crimes. So I might say about that it's a film, and I would talk about what the film was generally about if that were a source somehow relevant to me. So the first sentence is going to cover the kind of source it is and what its central topic is. So the newspaper icon here and the book icon here represent the first sentence. And then the third icon here is what you'll put in the second sentence. Most importantly, I don't want you to just tell me what it's about. I want you to think about the thesis sentence that you have written and how this will help you prove your thesis. That is what I need to know. I need you to think about it, and therefore I want you to tell me how it will help you prove your thesis in a single sentence. here are some things to remember as you create your annotated bibliography. You need 4 sources for your paper, 2 with page numbers, not that were placed by a printer, but by an editor. If it says printing page 2 of 3, that doesn't mean that it's page 2. There is probably not a page number for that document. You want it to be what specifically an editor says has page numbers. You should cite in MLA. If you are confused about how to cite something in MLA, you have a website where you can look up how to cite any kind of source on the Purdue Online Writing Center website. Go there for help. You should always remember, as you read, not just to read the abstract, but the whole article. Remember, we talked about that during the library day. You should not just read what pops up first in the library database. That's sort of like a book cover, if you will. You need to click to get to the actual meat and potatoes of the article and be able to tell me what it actually is about. And everything you quote should come from the real source, not the abstract. If you have quoted and cited the abstract and not the real source, when it comes time to quote and cite for your final draft of your paper, you have screamed at me that you didn't actually do the research I required you to do. So be somebody who does the research. And I want to remind you again, you have to do this annotated bibliography. If you don't come to class with some draft of it, the next time I see you, you fail the grade on the paper. This is a requirement. And here's one example of a citation. You may want to use approximately this for your paper because all of you are writing about this source. This is an MLA citation of A Fortune for Your Disaster, from which the 2 poem cycles you might have chosen as a subject were selected. And you can see his name, the name of the book it came from, A Fortune for Your Disaster. Tin House is the name of the publisher, and the year it was published was 2019. And you can see I've written 2 sentences. This is what I'm looking for. This book is a collection of poetry that talks about cultural challenges African Americans face. That is a general topic of the book, and it also tells you it's a collection of poetry. And I've identified it as a book and not, a video, not a newspaper article, not a website. And then the second sentence is very simply a direct answer to my second question. How will this help improve the thesis? This source will help me improve my thesis because I'm analyzing the poem cycle in this book. I imagine for the other 3 sources you're going to use, you may need to be a bit more complex in your answer, but it can be about that short. That's how much multiplied times 4. I am looking for this much text for you in your annotated bibliography. It is not a ton. As I said, do the thing that I just showed you for the 4 sources that help prove your thesis, and you have your annotated bibliography. If you get confused doing this, the Sims Memorial Library on campus can help you. It has the Ask a Librarian function open and available 24/7. You could do it the second this video is over. And you can go to the you can go to the Writing Center, McGee Hall, ground floor. I think it's rooms 102 and 104. And you must come with a draft of this to class the next time I see you. Thank you for your attention.